Top side of the map as well. We haven't really gone into it. We spoke a lot about Scout versus Showmaker. Definitely a fun one from, you know, back in the day, if you can call 2020 and 2021 back in the day. But I think Shio has also been playing exceptionally well, and they need a good top laner going up against Kingen, who has been just really consistent over probably, I guess you could say like the last 6 months or something like that, at least, and probably longer. Because he's just been very, very good despite the highs and lows of Nongshim. That top lane's going to be fun to watch as we get into Champ Select.
I think D+ are probably going to get some free bans towards Showmaker here from Nongshim Red Force. With the current lane performance of Scout and Showmaker's insane performances that we've seen thus far this season, even beating Roamer, who's relatively unknown, his whole thing was winning lane and solo queue. Like, that's like 90% of what solo queue is about. Half the time your game can just be decided by all your solo laners winning, and then like the jungle's like, all right, cool, I guess I play the game better because my solo laners are winning, and there's not necessarily team voice or comms or anything like that going on. So, you know, you could put summoner spells in the chat and stuff like that. But my point is, Showmaker is looking really good. We will put those asterisks in, but so far, we see the Malphite ban here from Nongshim Red Force. They do have first pick, and the Yunara ban will follow, and they'll even take away Lucid's Vi. So Showmaker actually completely unchained here.
Yeah, and Jace remains on the permaban list.
Let's see what they want to grab, because Orianna is banned, so it feels like
Rumble.
You probably would have... Yeah,
this is, I would say, an error, Wolf. Would you say this is an error?
I don't necessarily know, because Showmaker gets Rise now.
He does, but then you get Rumble Taliyah. And Pantheon, perhaps.
Remember how... Okay, so I think Scout has been one of our best Taliyah players. If not, he had the best individual performance on Taliyah, let's say, in week 1. But we have seen so many games of Rise versus Taliyah where the Taliyah just doesn't get to show up.
True.
And Showmaker is probably going to win that lane. So that's, in terms of like what we've seen in draft, giving Rumble over seems like a mistake, especially because it's Kingen, right? But in terms of what they get in return for D+ Kia, as a D+ Kia Predator myself, I feel pretty good about this rotation here.
I mean, I feel good about it until this comes in, because Pantheon has been very, very good in the jungle. I think that this is a bit of a no-brainer. Sponge did go 0-7, but he finished that game with a quadra kill and they won. So we'll call that. But then the Taliyah comes in, and so Pantheon Taliyah, a very, very famous duo, one that was actually debuted in the bottom lane by CVMAX himself.
Who's standing on stage right now.
Yeah, exactly, on the other side of the rift.
He's not scared of it.
Well,
I mean, this.
He did make it and then lost 0-3 very, very swiftly. We remember that T1 versus Griffin matchup in, I think, 2019
Interesting
summer.
Pivot here from the
J4.
Nico to the Jarvan. It really eliminates a different breed of AD carry rather than looking for the one lane where you could still play the AD carry through it, just have to have a tougher time in the laning phase. I think we probably will see a ban on it if they don't plan on picking it themselves. And the pick priority will be D+ in this case, so...
Yeah, they'll probably have to take that one away. I think
so.
Lulu is worth a look at. Something like a Karma, because Smash has been very, very good at the Ezreal, and with a composition like this that kind of just wants to go forward, maybe something with a bit of self-peel could be an idea.
I think
the Lucian would have fit into that as well.
Needs to play something that has significant scaling damage, and so they don't want to lane into Smash's Lucian, which has been insane. They take that one away, and I think the Nico will likely follow just because that also gives you added safety. But it means that you could run into that Karma you were mentioning, and that is something they can't take away all of those things, right? The bars will get taken away here from Taeun, which we've mentioned several times is a big favorite of his.
Now, one final ban to come on through. Whether it is going to be the Nico is the big question on our mind.
Lens is just calling like, no, we got to pick comp. Give me at least, like, we can play this.
And honestly, at least Pantheon kind of works.
I just think that post 20 minutes, this comp doesn't have any legs.
Yeah.
If you, go for the Elise. Let's see what they decide to ban. The Karma will be the choice actually instead, so Nico goes over.
All right. So is it going to be the Nico just slammed here? That could be coming on through.
It feels like it's going to be like a Nico into Alistar situation, which means you're going to have to sacrifice the lane, but you're going to hope that that durable Alistar is going to get you through some of those team fights later on with a scaling carry. We'll see what that ends up being.
Yep, and no chance of a Sylas as well because the entire top side has been locked away. Smash taking a while to think about this though, as we can see. They could also just give counterpick over to Korea, allow him to play whatever they would like towards that bottom side, but in the end, it's actually a Bard lock-in. That is an interesting one. Probably liking the Bard matchup into the Nico.
Yeah, Bard also works incredibly well into D+'s comp, so if Nongshim got their hands on it, it could have been a big problem. I did not expect a Kalista lock here.
Wow, that would be a lot of
opposite
upfront.
Yeah, a lot of this draft would have been kind of like ending the opposite way I expected, but this is going to be the Ezreal for Taeyun. Ezreal, Leona was the classic, but into the Bard feels really bad. They have so much pick. Like, I think it could kind of work.
You may as well play Nico. Man, there are so many incredibly high-value picks here on Nongshim. That is like 4 out of 5 of like the best on the patch. Probably not Talia, but she's been played a lot. This,
unironically, could be, I was going to say either Sivir because they have the Jarvan. Obviously, it's totally safe to lock it here as the final pick, or actually could have even been MF in this situation, which is rising in priority quite heavily. We're seeing it in solo queue, soaring in win rates right now as well. Everyone is practicing it, but because it's safe and it does incredibly well in this patch in terms of itemization, gets through its lane for free. But the Sivir plus the Rise is so much both wave clear, but also insane late game damage with the front line of this Cassante and Jarvan.
Yeah, and I think the Spell Shield can be very valuable. Into the Snare from Nico if they're going to use that to start fights, as well as the Pantheon trying to dive on top of her.
I mean, consider how much mobility this Rise is going to have already with Ghost and Phase Rush, and then the Sivir ultimate allows you to have even more playmaking when that Actualizer is realized for Showmaker later on. I think so much of this game is in the hands of Sponge in the side of Nongshim, like where he goes, what parts of the map he can impact, because he'll be able to play with the Talia around the map incredibly well, can try to shut down that Rise that won't have teleport in side lanes. He has to be able to make those ganks successfully, has to make those Grand Starfalls high value, because every time he misses one or fails to actually get value out of one, the pushing power will be returned in tenfold by Nongshim or by D+, because they're going to have that Sivir shoving mid. They commit a fight somewhere, it doesn't work, like turret's gone, Rise, same situation, you're trying to play through the side lane, shut down the Cassante, Rise is pushing the other side, and I think Scout will have to be able to manage the laning phase, be able to match some of these rotations from Showmaker. That was the big trade we talked about at the very beginning of the draft, is that Rise versus Talia. Our best performing Talia against Showmaker's Rise right now. My money's kind of on Showmaker, but that's what this series is all about, right?
Yeah.
Had 2 easy opponents. Let's see what happens when he plays against another world champion in Scout.
Yeah, I actually think that if this was just the drafts and I was looking at them, I'd be like, well, Nongshim easily win this, or Red Side team wins this like very, very easily, just because of how powerful all these champions are.
Bathroom breaks.
And yeah, it has to be when Wolf is on the desk, by the way, that we get a toilet issue. This is Korea, so he is very young. It's a very early time for him. I think he can be let off the hook. He gets 1, okay? We can give him 1. If this then means that like Lucid goes to the bathroom as well immediately afterwards,
D+ were the chosen ones. They were the ones that did the what you and I may have speculated, where we completely speculated.
I know, they had so many midi-chlorians, didn't they?
The BM return toilet issue, like where it was used against them, and then they were like, oh, okay, Kanavi, we'll raise you one. Oh, you're back in your seats, you're ready to play again? Oh, wait a second, it's my turn to go.
Oh, by the way, Wolf, chat is saying start the Gamecasters. So, if you could just start it.
You want me to just go get Career real quick?
Yeah, no, chat's just decided that we're starting without him. We're just, they're on a timer, you know, they've got to get to work or something like that. What is it that you've got to do? We zooming in on the water?
He drank too much water!
That's the
culprit!
Oh, no. He did say that. He did say that.
You know where I'm, if you're wondering where I am. Right, get up there, Korea, let's go!
Welcome back, Korea.
You got to keep that streak going. Let's do it.
All right. And that is his last toilet issue that he'll ever have for his entire career, okay? Pun not intended.
Like the Rune issue last time around, Aftershock Nami, I'm actually more okay with that.
Oh, me too, mainly because it won. And so that means the stats for Aftershock Nami are kind of absurd, which is very, very funny. Okay, this means that we are now going to be loading up onto the Rift. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a reminder of what our drafts look like with the Cassante into Rumble towards that top side of the map. Could be a little bit scary if you're a Shiyu fan, but Nongshim, they've got a good draft, but they have to play it well. Let's get into it. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for our very first game of the week and of the day. As already our top laners have spotted one another, as Cyanide getting infinite representation on this Jarvan. Every time it's the Fnatic skin. I think it's because the animation's nicer for a lot of people, but it's kind of interesting that we just always get that one.
Feels like we always get this Cassante skin as well.
Yeah, I like that one. It's a lot of pretty colors, and I'm into that. Sponge is going to walk over a ward as he starts the enemy Raptors.
Always get this Sivir, but it's the correct choice. So.
Oh, it absolutely is. Pack Sivir is always the one. Still looks cool even after a remake, which I was very happy with. Because I think I bought that skin off eBay years ago.
It has like the, I don't know how to put it, but like, you know when the old skin looked super kind of janky and blocky and like, this skin is old, I feel like it doesn't look as much like that now, but they still kind of nailed the aesthetic of like, even though it's a new rebuilt skin, it still has a little bit of that like jaggedness to it.
Yep.
So I think they did a really good job.
I'm into it, especially because it kind of looks all Tron vibed, which is why it's so awesome. And Tron is, you know, an 80s video game, so it does make a fair bit of sense that it's going to hold on to a bit of the jank. Sponge will just be full clearing on the enemy side of the Rift. Same thing to be said for Lucid, so we have some top-heavy and bottom-heavy sides of the map for Nongshim and for DK.
And we do have Lethal Tempo Ezreal, which has been very popular recently, coming through, as well as the First Strike Rumble, no Ignite though, which has been very common. Not in this matchup necessarily, but...
Don't tell Huni that Kingen hasn't taken the Ignite.
Huni
especially when you get a free teleport.
Huni's going to lose smite points out of
man. No one message him. Or do, because I miss him. All right, we do have Lucid making his way towards his top side of the jungle now. But the full clear is almost complete here for Sponge. Pretty quick on the Pantheon so far. As here in the bottom lane, Lahens and Taehyun going very aggressive onto Korea, taking a lot of damage. Good Boomerang Blade to offer a little bit back there from Smash, whose health bar is still quite high. They've got some hot cocoa they can be eating, so it should be all right here. As, man, this is an old matchup. Yeah, good old Bard into Ezreal.
Very, very classic. The Nico is winning out for the time being. Lahens getting a lot of chip damage done. As Pantheon pretending like he's about to Grand Starfall, but he's just recalling angrily. He's level 4, don't worry, guys.
The animation is very fun.
The observers almost looked like they were panicked on that one. They were like, is he going in? No, he's just going back home.
And also both junglers leaving before the crab, which just a bit of a gentleman's agreement there on the halving.
Showmaker's stats, by the way, I mentioned his insane CS. He is currently 3rd right now in terms of top 5 CS per minute. He's actually behind only his teammate Smash, who has the highest, and Gumayushi. He's actually ahead of Ruler. He has been farming like an insane person. And like
every other mid laner as well it's Ryze stats. Ryze just seems to be farming the most.
Exactly. So Showmaker getting his hands on this one again is somewhat concerning. See how this game does go, because being able to farm and get the most CS means you get the fastest actualizer, which means you get the fastest big spike in terms of late game damage. So I am going to be keeping my eyes on that one, as looking for an aggressive trade here as Lucid comes over.
Yeah, too many 1v1s happening here as Scout is down relatively low. Sponge and Lucid still fighting it out with Showmaker rotating over. Does mean that, oh, never mind. Going to get shoved back here as now Sponge. Possible stun angle, and that is going to mean the flash has to be employed here by Showmaker.
Really unfortunate for Showmaker that he has to flash there, but I think he played that super well. Gets the root there on the Sponge as he flashes away, so he knows he cannot be stunned there by a flash stun coming in from Sponge. And ends up being safe as a result, but does not feel very good about what he had to do in order to do so. It's all on Scout, though. Seeing the angle there, Showmaker going around that wall, hits the shove at the exact right moment.
It's a bit cute as well, with Lucid moving up towards the Krog camp on the top side. Some damage here onto Kingen, as Shio finds himself a nice little trade. But Lucid's just going to vacate. And Sponge going to waste a little bit of time here, moving towards his Krog camp that does not exist, as the Wolves are going to be taken here by Lucid on the other side.
It's
so
like
a little bit of a jungle advantage.
Mild existence of the one mini Krug that was left behind.
Oh, yeah, true.
That doesn't delay the camps anymore, though.
Yeah, we could say that it's denial, but it's not. It's just not how that one works. Staying down relatively low, as we can see here in this lane, but don't think that they're going to be too worried about it. He's just looking for a back angle, and will be able to head back home. It's currently 5 CS ahead, but will not be after that one does come on through.
Quiet early game here, despite the fact that we have two junglers that have incredible impact early. It was just Scout's shove that gave us a potential moment there where we could have had a kill. But it's a summoner gained. A plate will go down here, it looks like in the bottom side.
Yeah.
Barely. And otherwise, you know, the laning here, pretty much dead even across the board. Like, small lead for Kingin. The mid lane pretty much dead even. Bottom lane dead even with that plate going over. And it's a very quiet and a great game to start things out.
Yeah. The only difference, of course, is Showmaker's flash being on cooldown. So Sponge spotted here on this Raptor camp and could potentially be dangerous. And that's why you see Showmaker hugging the turret for the moment. And so right now with Nongshim having a bit of tempo on the map, Lucid down towards his bottom side to protect his bottom lane.
There's a bit of a butterfly effect from that lost flash, right? And the fact that Sponge is so deadly, even though Lucid has level 6 a little bit faster here, doesn't necessarily matter. They just do not want to play aggressively because of the Weaver's Wall potential when Showmaker doesn't have prio. So for once, we actually get to see Talia, even without pressing R, get value out of the Weaver's Wall that she's holding here. Scout is just constantly applying that pressure. That shovel is massive, and now the bottom lane feels very free to be aggressive. You can see Sponge as well, putting that pressure on in the jungle. Has a lot of deep vision set up. So Showmaker's lost flash doesn't look like anything in the gold graph right now, but it really is impacting the bottom side of the map quite heavily.
Yep. We can see now as well, there is Scout moving towards the bottom side. Is actually recalling them in that brush. Lucid was considering moving on over. The top side of the map has now respawned, and he will be contesting this red buff. Sponge stole his away, though. And so now Lucid will be able to find him here. Level 6 for the Jarvan. Should mean that he will be able to win a fight up against Sponge. But he hits 6 now off that one little Raptor. And now's the Realm Warp coming in. There's the knock-up onto Sponge as Showmaker turns up. Cataclysm onto Sponge. The flash out from Lucid to try and keep him alive as Showmaker is now looking for a Tempered Fate. And that's going to interrupt the ulti escape. And Sponge is dead. Korea moves over and will be able to help grab that first blood for Showmaker. Beautifully played here by D+.
Yeah, this is a huge win for D+. Getting value out of the Realm Warp first again before the Talia can get anything done with her Weaver's Wall. In fact, opting not to use it there. It was a really awkward fight. The Tempered Fate was the cherry on top. This is a weird battle here, right, in the jungle where you don't want to use your cooldowns, but Sponge ends up using the stun early. So this is, I think, the call for Showmaker to go, all right, well, there's nothing he can do here. And he's just constantly CC. Then the flash away from Lucid is fantastic here. And then Showmaker helps stun it up. Ghost comes out. The Tempered Fate denies the ultimate, and there's no escape.
Oh, well, now Showmaker's dead. Okay. Just barely didn't have his flash up and available. I did want to say as well, the Cosmic Binding onto Scout was really beautiful from Korea to then set up for the Tempered Fate interruption. So playing that one very well was the support. Gets that roam first. As Pop Blossom going to connect onto 2. Here towards the bottom side. Barrier from Smash is trying to help out here. Is on the hunt. Gives them that extra movement speed. Okay, not quite able to layer the damage. And so just going to soften them up here underneath the turret. Oh, just barely missed that
that's
one.
the worst feeling ever. But ultimately, I think he's going to be okay with it.
Yep. And also, speaking of ultimately things, it's completely even as far as farm is concerned. We're going to have a look at how Showmaker died. Oh, caught napping. I believe Scout may have just a little bit of a starfall. The double globals being a little problematic. Showmaker has nowhere to go.
Yep. Thought he was safe recalling that far away, but ultimately not. Nobody died up here. Looked a little bit suspicious when we panned back to it, but it's just going to be a Cassante showing back up. Kingin doesn't quite get that plate.
It should mean, as this game goes on as well, she is going to be feeling a whole lot better and better. As the Rook Urn comes in, things like this to get that extra magic resist. And then Kingin is going to have a fair bit more trouble trying to take him down. And then the Cassante could become a little bit of a problem. I did kind of go off Cassante. I wasn't really that much of a fan in 2025. But I feel like earlier this year, Kesper Cup, etc., Cassante's been finding a bit more value. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can actually do here.
I think that Cassante is a champion that's always going to be great when you have AD carries that do a lot of damage. And all AD carries do a lot of damage in this meta right now, as Kingin's forced to flash even as well.
Ulti traded for flash here, probably good for she, you could say, as Nongshim starting off this Drake will be able to take that one as Korea moving over to fight Taeun. As Lucid and Showmaker looking to try and find some stragglers. I don't know whether they'll be able to.
Just D+ could not get enough control over the pit here, and Showmaker's Realm Warp is coming up just now. He has the ult advantage over Scout. Weaver's Wall that came out earlier, but does not have it in time to try to reposition there. And so it's just a free dragon going over to Nongshim in the end. Yep, they got both major objectives. They were able to get the grubs and that dragon here. It will be wind and fire to start things off here.
Ooh, okay. Just need a Mountain Drake. We can start off right.
Cassante is hoping so.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, Smash and Taeyoon. I mean, Smash as well. I mean, you get so much movement speed by pressing on the hunt. It's kind of funny. So, actually, never mind. It's going to be a Mountain Soul. It's not going to be a Cloud, because that one's already happened. I just think about Cloud Soul for every champion. It's just how I work.
I mean, that's what we all do. You just say it out loud. The rest of us kind of keep it to ourselves.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know. Does that mean that I'm brave, or I'm just like don't have a filter? I don't quite know yet.
I don't know. You say what everyone's thinking. You're just the honest one.
Thank you. All right, Nongshim here. Try and keep Lehens alive, who just pop blossoms the air, trying to keep himself up. Tempered Fate to hold him in position. There is a Pantheon potentially able to come down here, though, and he does press that Grand Starfall button. Smash going to be able to use that spell shield to try and keep himself healthy, and it is going to work out. But that is not the way Nongshim wanted to use both of those ultimates.
Yeah, not really. But Lehens does not have to flash, so that feels pretty good. And Taeyoon does have his Essence Reaver. Nerfed on this patch slightly, but...
Yeah, also not going for the Trinity Force build. We have seen that a little bit more predominantly here in the LCK.
Same for Smash. Both of them feeling that recipe cost increase, which is a big part of the nerf, alongside the AD, but both can have it at the same time. Since they're both building it, not going to really feel like either of them are getting hindered by the nerf of the cost.
Yep.
And the game slows down again, right? We did have some action there on the bottom side because Lehens got caught, air quotes, but does end up being just some ultimates down here for the side of Nongshim that can't necessarily be punished with no objectives up. And we kind of go back to the slow patch 26.1, laning, chilling and getting quests done. We do have a 3-2 on that one right now, but we talked about this on Pog, so you guys should go check out the episode. Doesn't really feel like getting your quest a little bit faster in pro play usually changes the game all too much.
No.
Don't want to fall massively far behind.
Yeah, right now it's just, you know, support quest happening a little bit earlier, AD quest happening a little bit earlier, but I think Smash will have his relatively quickly, although you can see taking a lot of damage here. As Korea not going to get slowed down too much here. Does get snared, though, as we can see. Just not able to finish him off, but Taeyoon's very scary with that first item spike.
Now, the reason here... Okay, hold on.
All right, there is quest completion for Smash. We'll be able to now clear out that wave. And things should be A-OK. Able to sidestep a fair few things as well. But this turret is looking a little worse for wear.
The reason why we see so many supports just take heal and spam it in these types of situations, you get so much tempo if you can use it in the right moment. Lehens gets so much value out of it there. Pushes them out of lane. It's not a plate. And are feeling really comfortable. It's now all role quests complete here for Nongshim. Sponge is up here.
Yeah, Xiu maybe stepping a little far forward. Does try and avoid some of that CC, but he's going to get smoked. Now looking to try and turn this one as he goes all out looking for Sponge. The rest of the team all turn up as well. As the equalizer comes down, Xiu is just fine. As Kingen will be able to get a kill before he dies, but it looks like Xiu will survive. So 1-for-1 here in this top side as everyone called all their mates.
Yeah. And Lehens is back in base. Let's see if they can make a cross map happen. Taeyoon.
Oh, Tempered Fate is going to hold him in position here. Smash with the on the hunt, trying to set this one up. Massive burst damage with that Boomerang Blade. As Taeyoon does have to flash to get himself out of there.
Not too bad here for Taeyoon, because he does survive, but losing the flash hurts. The reason why it's not too bad is because the wave was crashing, so some farm was lost there on the other side for Smash at the same time, and he does escape. This was just Showmaker and Scout racing to join this fight here, knowing that Jarvan was rotating up. And Nongshim's defense, I think that was played out really well. The equalizer, not the greatest one here, but it is enough to help trade them back 1-for-1. As the kill going over to Xiu as well, not Showmaker, which is not the end of the world.
Yep, I think Cassante getting strong probably going to be a good thing here. Showmaker has found Lehens, and Lehens not too happy about it, as we can see.
Feels like either Lehens or Taeyoon is constantly just getting chunked out, and they're never able to really fully play together these last few moments.
Yeah, it's like one or the other, exactly right. Taeyoon, though, has been able to land a fair bit in lane, things like this, keep the pressure on to Smash and Korea, who are down about 10 CS at the moment, about 450 gold, as you can see here, for this Ezreal. And this was the champion that he performed very well on in the LPL. You remember that famous play from him last year?
Yeah.
See whether he can channel
that nobody
that in
watched
this
live.
game. Well, no Koreans watch, as we we may have on the Western side, but we're not the ones that dictate whether Taehoon is visible or not. That's all right. Korea down to 50%. Smash is going to try and get this wave shoved in.
He has a flank angle here, but they can collapse on him. He doesn't have Realm Warp, so he can't like try to sneak an angle here. So I think he just has to hard push the bottom lane, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now it's going to force a reaction.
Yeah, Tempered Fate is available as well, so Korea can take control of this if they'd like to.
I mean, they're just going to send him in.
Yeah, let's see whether it works. Cataclysm comes on down. There's the Tempered Fate to hold 2 in position as Scout and Taehoon able to hold on, but Lucid just says, thank you very much. Highway robbery here as now the Weaver's Wall comes down. Showmaker trying to flash away, and he's going to be able to do so. That's a beautiful one.
Man, that was such a clean setup from D+, start to finish. Now, where was this shot calling all last year?
Was it coach voice?
I don't think so. I didn't see the icon.
I didn't see the icon either, so we can give them full credit.
We'll say in the post-game interview that he almost did it there, but he said they didn't need a shot.
I was hovering. I
actually almost shot called exactly every moment there, but I decided not to, and they did exactly as I imagined.
And he trusted them, and they came through, and that's the main thing.
I think that this was a really cool heist here for the side of D+, right? Like, they end up really sacrificing nothing for this. Showmaker has to flash, but it was very, very clean. It was a desperate situation because Showmaker didn't have his Realm Warp. He was able to just kind of close the gap there. They set the Tempered Fate so that the Dragon can be smote away, and then they get the escape. That was impressive stuff.
Yeah, really nicely done. And now it's an Ocean Soul, and we're even on Dragons. Rift Herald now going to be what they're considering as Cosmic Binding does go wide, but Sponge taking a lot of damage, throws up the Aegis, and is going to be able to land that stun. Equalizer lands on top of Lucid quite nicely. Showmaker down to 50%, Flag and Drag gets Lucid out of there as Kingen still wants his fight, as it looks like Lucid going to be that target, and he will get taken down. Xiu now off to the side, wanting to try and grab one of these Nongshim members. They do get control vision of this full health Cassante, who's looking pretty dangerous. Seismic Shove not going to connect onto Career as now Showmaker taking a fair bit of damage. And it's just going to be the Rift Herald taken. It's kind of beautiful macro play on both sides.
Yeah, honestly.
As Nongshim just push them away, guarantee the Rift Herald, and they now might be able to get this outer turret in mid as well.
LCK is so good this year. It really is. It's actually so fun. So they basically, like I was saying before, okay, hold on, we're going to have Scout looking for a collapse.
Yeah, Showmaker. Oh, going to get shoved. So he's dead. That is beautifully played. Scout gave him no choice.
Showmaker's face on the player cam as well. Knowing like, Desperate Realm Warp does not work out. I think he knew it was a pipe dream with both the Pantheon and the shove coming. Tried to kind of play around it and still ultimately just couldn't utilize it. So dies and loses Realm Warp.
Well, there's Magical Journey as Scout is going to be put into Golden Stasis. Then does flash away. Seismic Shove to hold on to Lucid here as now Sponge makes his way in. The Pantheon Talia combo looking pretty good in the hands of Nongshim today as they will be able to take down this outer turret in the bottom lane. And DK, like, you chose this.
Yeah, they certainly did. They didn't have enough damage down there to end up getting the kill, the punish there onto Scout, despite committing the Tempered Fate. This is coming out from Nongshim, talking about the 18-minute flash for Jarvan, and Rise having flash at 2020, saying you guys need to keep better track of the summoner spells. So just a moment of commentary there. Moving into this fight here, very deep aggression without proper setup here. Showmaker ends up being the target. The Equalizer cuts this fight in half, and Smash wasn't here. He decides to abandon ship as they try to delay. And this is the macro you were talking about. I mean, instantly Smash is just like, I'm Sivir, my time, I'll get some plate gold in the mid lane. There's no one to answer for it, and they are able to at least turn that into an exchange in the mid lane, despite losing the Herald and losing the fight.
Yeah, now you've got an attempted stop on the recall there for Xiu, but he does make it out. Had a shield from his Rookern, so obviously the threaded volley not going to be too much of a worry here. Control board goes over, and Nongshim are just parking themselves where there are turrets to be taken. And Kingen going to turn up here. That means that Korea has to get the heck out of there, and Scout, with now free reign, will be able to get even more money from this turret. Smash tries to do the same, misses a cannon, unfortunately, as we do have Xiu on that bottom side at the same time. Lucid makes his way out, looking a bit worse for wear.
There's plate trades here, you know, for Scout and for Xiu, but I think you definitely favor the Talia getting more money, by the way. She has, yes, a lot of money, 2,000 gold ahead of this Rise that Showmaker opted into. And, you know, those CS numbers for him, the average, I think is going to be going down quite heavily after this game, as he is just, like we've seen Faker in this position before, just kind of having to sit in this brush and wait for waves, because when you don't have teleporters rise, if you die, you cannot join objective fights. So, you know, you have your Realm Warp, you have Ghost, you can run places very quickly, but if you die, like, there's no, okay, I died, so start Dragon and I'll TP over there like you normally have as a mid laner. So you have to be very careful. Lucid shadowing here at the top side, because he needs that third item desperately, and he is nowhere near it. No. Significantly behind Scout at the moment. They are going to at least push Scout off this turret and force a big rotation.
Yeah, Crystalline Overgrowth helping out here, as well as now Kingin, possibly getting engaged on by Shu, but avoids the Q very nicely. Still, looks like Shu is going to be pretty comfortable here with a lot of magic resist now built up. Does mean that Taeyun does do a fair bit of damage to him, and Sponge can also get some work done, but they're not exactly the greatest champions at cutting down tanks.
The only real, like, extremely fed member, the only big, huge lead, everyone else has a small lead, is Scout, right? So yeah. This game still feels relatively playable here for D+. It's Ocean Soul. They're just going to give up a single dragon here and trade for what looks like eventually a turret for Showmaker. If you're Showmaker, you're like, this is the only play, right? Just sit and farm, scale up. We do have a lot of damage later on. We have a really, really robust front line. He safely Realm Warps out to make sure he doesn't get caught by a Weaver's Wall play.
Oh, speaking of being caught, Sponge now moving down towards his bottom side. There is no turret. And so Sponge going to miss the Q, but I think he's still going to have to flash. Yeah, out goes Shu. Lucid was there, but they didn't really like that 2v2.
There was a lot of missing vision on the map, which is why I think Showmaker decided to Realm Warp out there. And I think they thought there was going to be a collapse from really far away with Grand Starfall and Weaver's Wall on the top side. Showmaker was like, carefully, like, cool guys don't look at explosions taking that turret out, but they went for Shield on the bottom side instead. Without using their global ultimates, Showmaker now down his, but did get that critical gold in exchange for the dragon. You can see that puts a small dent in the gold difference over time here. But time, speaking of, is what D+ really need in this game. They just don't want any more disasters, any more bad fights before then. And that's why Nongshim should start to put their eyes on this Baron and start to threaten some Baron takes here so that they can solidify their 3,000 gold. They turn that into a one game here, because if given a significant amount of time, D+ could definitely play this one very close.
Yeah, this is the thing. As Smash gets item after item, right? Already the 2-item spike of the Essence Reaver Infinity Edge is quite large. But on 3 items, the Sivir really becomes dangerous. We'll see whether Taeyun is going to go for the double tier. I think with Essence Reaver, it's a little bit more common, but looks like he's not going there this time. Just going to be going for a little bit more of a classic regular blue Ezreal. And we'll see what he's going to be grabbing third. Might just be Cyrilda's. Okay, Cataclysm comes in as out goes Lucid after losing most of his health bar. Weaver's Wall was there in exchange as teleport comes through from Shiu. Showmaker now off to the side as Scout going down relatively low. Shiu looking for the angle, gets the flash out, so Scout is going to be okay. Gets out of the Tempered Fate as well, but Sponge not going to be so lucky as the Seismic Shove does nothing at all. Kingin not even teleporting into this fight as Taeyun below 50%, able to get control of mid-wave. And Kingin is threatening. I don't think they're going to be able to do Baron because they may just lose a large portion of their base.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to back up and reset. They got that ward on the edge of the pit, and I think that's enough to say, all right, well, I mean, they're not going to be able to do this. This is kind of a domino effect of this aggressive play from Sponge and Lehends. The Cataclysm is actually so valuable because it ends up getting the Weaver's Wall out of Scout. And then
the Pop Blossom.
Yeah, and the Pop Blossom is used kind of like completely wasted and choke point control that Nongshim have, so they lose everything as Shiu gets the teleport flank. And watch Taeyun, like, he has to get out of here, so he can't offer as much damage as he'd like. He's weaving in what he can. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to flash, but they get the heal out of the Lehends as well. And it's just not a playable fight. That's why Kingin doesn't TP in, because he's like, that just does not look like a situation I can actually turn. I'd rather just get more value in the side. Hold my TP instead. Shiu used his. It's a small win for D+. As the gold still remains relatively the same, as we're not actually seeing Actualizer third for Showmaker, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like he needs the Zhonya's, yeah. I don't blame him for that. Allows you to avoid things like the Seismic Shove relatively well. As now, Boomerang Blade going to be avoided. Double buffs onto Smash. Very close to the third item as well. See what it is going to be. Could be just a Phantom Dancer for a little bit more defense, as Tempered Fate does get the Dash Cannon out of Lehends. I like that Korea's looking for them, but like you say, it is a large cooldown.
Okay, I mean, we're posturing for Baron. The Dragon is up in 80 seconds here. Scout is constantly threatening angles.
Yep, and Kingin's in position as well. It's a bit scary.
This new like Ghost Rise who hides when he's behind this is really funny to watch, but Showmaker is getting larger and larger. You know, normally when you think about like that type of contest, the Rise is way up there, right? Like he's pushing the side and he's trying to threaten, but he's just so far behind. He doesn't have TP because he's taking Ghost and Ghost on cooldown anyways. He just has to kind of like sit and wait for waves, which means he's so behind the 8 ball, which means Nongshim can keep that vision. Career is going to be able to sneak over here and take away this controller, which is actually quite significant. Yeah, the Dragon is not that high value, but it will be soul point here for Nongshim, and even picks like the Rumble in these extended fights will get a decent amount of value out of it. So see what D+ decide to do here when this spawns in 30 seconds, because if they lose the fight here, the gold lead just balloons so heavily, and they'll lose Baron as well. So I think they really need to be quite decisive here.
And I also think going for the fight is a really good idea, because Flicker Blades just came in from Smash. And now Realm Warp is going to come on forward. Showmaker ignores it as Scout makes his way down. That is going to be a missed seismic shove though, so that should mean that Shiu will survive and holds onto the flash. Smash now with some crystalline overgrowth to explode, and that is going to be a very dead turret very quickly.
Get the TP out.
Yeah, Taeyin moving in. There's on the hunt just to get out of there. Equalizer, just going to be a red carpet to allow Smash to leave. And he has himself some hot cocoa waiting for him on the other side.
Smash is like, what? Thanks, guys. I also got the turret, by the way.
Yeah.
Now they can actually look for a real contest here. TP back for Shiu, who's coming over.
Yeah, he's got that big old shield to work with as well. Kingin still with his residual ears. Lucid flashes in. Great triple knockup as there's the Tempered Fate just to buy some space. But it's Sivir getting fed. There is the Dragon going over to Lucid. They'll take down Sponge as well, as it's a double for the Sivir. We said the item spike was big, and it's now going to be even bigger as Nongshim just nothing to offer back.
I mean, D+ is back in charge of this game now. They are going to be able to come over here and start this Baron, and blocking this is a fool's errand. I mean, Taeyu is going to have to hit all the Qs on all the right targets that they want to stop this. It is a very tanky Baron on this patch, but there's no equalizer for 4 seconds.
Yeah, and Smash does so much damage to this as well, but now Nongshim making their way in. Great seismic shove, gonna catch Shiu there is now Kingin looking for it. There's the knockup on Taeyin as Lucid gets into the backline. Showmaker able to come on over and offer that damage. And Shiu just looking unkillable right now as Kingin really wants to take down these lower health bars. Somehow all of DK is still alive, by the way. No idea how that one works as they dive on forward and down goes Kingin. They don't get the Baron, but they clean up a bunch more kills.
Yeah, this is, I think, for Nongshim, the best that could have gone. And it's all about that shove from Scout. But going back to this play here, there's just such a big disconnect between Lehens, who wants to try to punish here. Looks like maybe even initially Pop Blossom defensively decides he has to try to use it to peel and goes in, and then the follow-up from the Bard ultimate, right? Career's Tempered Fate just cuts the fight in half, and then over here, Shiu does insane work, but actually it still gets caught by the shove as they are doing Baron live after Lehens.
Oh, Lehens did that thing where he died in the river because that led to a victory last week against Home Life Esports. This time around, though, it won't lead to a victory, I don't think, because now DK will take Baron for free, and that is going to be all 5 members with the buff.
D+ turning this game around.
Honestly, like, the way this has been played, though, Wolf, in this later stage of the game has just been beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Maybe not this part, but...
Well, I mean, I was more talking about DK.
Yeah.
Lehens doing Lehens things is not something that we ever discount, but there is a knockback. Oh, Shiu just picks him up, throws him back into the team, but the equalizer goes down. Sponge, the first one to die here, is now Lucid in the backline, looks for Taeyin, the wall comes in, but Shiu is already down. And so 1 for 1, as Showmaker has said, I will use my purple buff to destroy their stuff.
He built Shadow Flame, by the way. We kind of thought he was going a little bit more defensive. He was going a different way.
I like that.
And I mean, considering the enemy composition and also the lack of Merc Treads for Scout, feels very good. And we'll be doing a lot of damage to that turret when he does hit it. But you know, you were talking about Lehens, we were talking about art and things like that, and beauty, but, you know, people said Mona Lisa was ugly, but, you know, it's hanging in the museum.
Yeah.
This fight is just really surgical here for D+, and it's just kind of the kitchen sink being employed by Nongshim to try to defend it. They end up getting the kill onto the Cassante, but there's not enough pullback there from Nongshim to really turn that into a larger play. The Baron is still getting significant value here.
Yeah, another 1.5 minutes actually on the buff.
Yeah, I mean, like, these turrets are still up. Like, this you know, inner turret in the bottom lane is full plates. We're not threatening inhibitors necessarily on this push, but the money going to this Sivir, who you mentioned the Flicker Blades, now has the Bloodthirster online as well. I mean, she's just so safe.
Oh, Scout, though, that is a big pickup. Does have Magic Pen and now a Death Cap. So this Talia is going to be doing damage, throws down the wall now, looking for an angle towards Showmaker, who's going to be that first target. He does have the stasis, though, from Korea, whose bot has been so good today. By the way, into the backline goes Shiu. They do take down the Rise, as now Lucid and Shiu just trying to keep the rest of them at bay. Smash now needs to be wary of Sponge, so we will be taking him down first. And Shiu just kills Kingen! Where the heck did that come from? It's Korea. Lucid, I don't know about that one. He does flag and drag, but he is still going to die. There is the Cosmic Binding onto Tay and Korea. You need to be careful of those magical journeys when your friends are around, because they may take them and they may die.
Korea himself, though, like you mentioned, has had an incredible game. Who needs Zonias when you've got the bar?
Yeah, exactly.
As we'll watch this again, it almost feels intentional. The way they set this up, Career is able to get over the wall here, protect Showmaker, and then they just front to back here with Smash. Lehens gets taken out first, and Shiu just runs into the backline at level 18. He and Lucid are just a brick wall. Then eventually we go a bit too deep on this one. It ends up being a trade.
And a lot was used to get on top of Shiu there, but this was a bit of a misplay.
There was a Talia on the other side. And she was happy to accept the gift.
I think it was, you know, the rest of the players didn't pick up their tickets for the Magical Journey. Yeah. It was only Lucid, and then he was there by himself, and he's like, you know what, I'm not into it. It's one of those shows that you want to go to with a friend.
Ultimately, this does give Nongshim a little bit of space to potentially get Soul Point. Yeah, I think they will get it.
They should be able to, down to 2,000, as Lucid not quite able to get in there in time. Let's see whether Nongshim can escape. That's the real question here, is now Korea looking to line up that Tempered Fate. They're all in that Banana Brush, as Shiu just looking to try and hold on to them. And Lehens still on a decent angle, but keeps getting spotted over and over again. Huge minion weight, by the way, on the top side of the map that Nongshim does need to deal with. So what happens when you do waste a bit of time on the Dragon? Of course, I say waste, still was a good idea to get themselves the Soul Point. You can see that's a big wave now being eliminated.
Yeah, look at the wave on the top side you're talking about. I mean, that's plates going down on that inhibitor turret, chipping away at the base. We are getting to what is kind of in LCK, the game state where if you don't have, at this point, an 8,000 gold lead, anything could happen. Because yes, there are some players who have massive leads. Scout has a huge lead over Showmaker still. Smash has a huge lead over Taeyun, but all it takes is the right set of shoves with an equalizer on top of it, and then D+ just lose the fight instantly and the game is lost. So you have to be incredibly cautious here if you are D+. Trying to set up before Baron Vision will be spawning in 90 seconds. That's going to be the next major objective. And so, a slow play of this, they have insane wave clear. So it's okay to let Nongshim push into them when they have control over the map and just clear those waves and play defensively.
Yeah.
And I mean, with how Lehens has been playing so aggressively, maybe just kind of fish for a defensive pick.
Yeah, and one of the things that needs to happen for Nongshim is these Pop Blossoms need to do something.
Yeah.
Lehens has not really been finding the angles here. A lot of them have been defensive, and a lot of them have just been random. So, need to get it together. Make something happen here moving later on into the game. Win condition is going to be that Dragon for Nongshim. And of course, if they give away another one, then this game is going to extend, right? Like, that's going to mean Elder Drake is going to be coming up at, what, 45 minutes in the game for the first time? Kind of insane.
It is really scary to think of what could happen, though, if D+ secure this Baron. For the damage they've already done.
Oh, Tempered Fate going to hold on to King in here. The Showmaker's moving over. Looks like they're not going to be able to do too much about this, as Taeyun and Lehens were in position. So Tempered Fate now on cooldown one more time. But I do really like that Korea's just been going for the shots, you know?
It's not on an insanely long cooldown, and he is able to sometimes get flashes, has been able to just make fights easy to play, isolate single targets.
Level 19 Cassante, by the way, is it, like, that's a very large health bar.
He has Jack shows as well, so he doesn't really get hurt by things.
He's not really getting hurt by things. I'm seeing that. There is also a GA on Smash, so he's feeling pretty comfortable as well, as Lehens looks for an angle onto Showmaker and does not find it. Gets a flash, though, as now you've got Scout in so much trouble. That's just a cheeky cue from Showmaker. Looks for the Realm Warp, gets it, and then gets into that backline as now Kingen looking to try and barbecue Korea. He is definitely the only one that he can really get through in a quick manner as Sponge fails to flash and gets knocked into Timbuktu. And Kingen, he's running there. This is not exactly looking like the way he wants to go. A magical journey is unnecessary as Kingen is defecting. The rest of D+ just looking to try and end this game as a Tempered Fate going to come off cooldown and go into the Nether. And yes, Kingen just taking them on a merry chase.
I mean, Kingen's bought enough time here to where it looks like they're going to have to use the Baron to end rather than just be able to walk down as 5 and end the game.
Well, he is just going to die because you cannot just try and teleport away in front of a mini wave and a Bard. But the Baron, like you say, is going to be the option instead of just straight up losing the game. So like you say, Kingen, it's the best thing that he could do.
Like, this setup here is so desperate. And it's just like Lahen's ults air, and Scout goes in, and D+ is just like, well, okay, and then they just take the free fight afterwards. I mean, the plays from Lucid here in the follow-up, the positioning of both Smash and Showmaker to help run down these targets was well played, but it was kind of a freebie after the complete sending it that we saw from Nongshim just moments before. Like, I don't want to say they just tossed the game away, but they certainly did not set themselves up for success. Kingen buys enough time to where it's just Baron, but just Baron means probably inhibitors at this stage because the rest of the turrets are gone except those inhibitor turrets. The top side's been significantly chipped away at, and they have a Sivir and a Ryze. They've got great siege here, and Nongshim are going to have a defensive play of some kind, I think, to get back into the game with no teleport as well. Well, they got his Phalite so they could see their demise incoming.
Yeah, that's the problem. They can see that it's doomed in HD, and it's not exactly a 4K. HD is pretty old, isn't it? It's not really a thing that we're really too worried about. As turret going to be falling down towards that top side of the map. It's just the Winions making this one happen as the rest of DK looking to siege up bot and mid.
The top inhibitor's already under siege by minions alone, and it will go down eventually.
Yep. Korea making his way over here as Tempered Fate is going to snag onto the Nico. Lahen's is trying to pop Blossom, but he's still just going to die. Korea is going to be going down as well. Both supports are dead, but these ricochets, man, are tearing Nongshim apart. And Shiu looks like he's kind of immune to damage, which is not what you want to see on the enemy team. As Rumwop not going to be taken here from Showmaker. He just wants to take down these inhibitors, and all 3 of them just erupt in a moment. All of a sudden, it's our largest gold lead in the game as DK look to finish off these last couple of towers. Scout just getting hit by ricochets, that's it. And he's already down to 50%. As Smash throwing away these boomerangs where he can.
And the cannon minions are really just chipping away. It's only a matter of time. They have to make some sort of play. They're sitting back.
Yeah, we got the zoom in here, just trying to work out what Nongshim can do about this.
They don't have Equalizer for a few more seconds.
Ooh, Shiu goes in. There's a Weaver's Wall from Scout, just trying to take control of the situation. Lucid goes in, then he's out. As Sponge, speaking of which, he's going to go out via the Death Chamber, or at least via his GA for now. Taeun being held onto here by Showmaker as on the other side of the fight, Smash is completely safe. Shiu might be taken out. Never mind. He is a Mega Tank, and he is not going to be dying here as Showmaker goes golden, and the Nexus goes down. D+ Kia.
All at the right time here at the early part of this year. Showmaker was put down early, but still did way more damage than Talia because he's a Ryze in this game.
이제 비전파 잡고.
야, 탱보 얘네 피 좀 많이 달긴 해, 이거는.
나 15초.
이번에 미니언 온다.
이번에 타워 깼다.
이번에 밀게, 이거.
이번에 니코만 나와.
괜찮아.
야야야, 천천히 해도 돼. 끝난다 이거. 천천히.
아,
가둬줄게. 앞라인부터 쳐. 앞라인 빨리 쳐. 반대부터 쳐 얘들아. 반대부터 쳐. 반대 잡았고. 야 이제 비전 없어 지금.
야, 쌈 봐야 돼, 얘들아. 쌈 봐야 돼.
아니 천천히. 좋아.
니 잡았다.
나이스. 야 좋아. 야 니가 탈려 너플.
잘 밀어줘. 나이스다.